Have you ever felt unexpectedly angry, irritated, or even repulsed by someone, but you couldn't explain why? Maybe it was their confidence, or how openly emotional they were, or how they demanded attention without any single apology. So that discomfort you feel, it's not about them. It has zero to do with them, but it's about the parts of yourself that you disowned. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the part of your psyche that holds everything you reject, repress, or are ashamed to admit about yourself. And until you look at it, until you see it, it runs you like skeletons in the closet, right? I'm Dr. Alena Prihitka. I'm a therapist and a researcher, and on my channel I discuss different topics that I've been thinking a lot about and that I've been discussing with my clients, and something I think I can share with you that can help you to live basically a better life. So today I want to talk to you about things that you ignore in yourself which secretly control you, how shame, anger, and resentment are messages from your shadow self, and how you can heal. So let's begin. What is this shadow? We can look at it as, made of parts that we're taught or learned to hide. So it can be your sensuality because it was inappropriate, or your ambition because it was maybe selfish, or your anger because someone told you it was ugly, or your sadness because it made you feel weak, or someone told you most likely that it makes you feel weak. So these parts go underground, and when you see someone else embody them freely, it triggers you because you unconsciously you're being forced to face what you've buried, like a mirror. So why this matters? The thing is that you can't really truly accept others or be in healthy relationships if you are at war with yourself. So what you don't accept in yourself, you will punish in others. There's this very interesting defense mechanism, projection. So when we can't accept a trait in ourselves, we project it outward. That's why people who haven't made peace with their own anger, for example, often accuse others of being aggressive, right? So you see that they are pretty aggressive, but they don't see it. They think you're aggressive. Or someone deeply insecure may call others attention-seeking and notice it. So projection is the mind's way of protecting you from shame. There's a catch. Projection keeps you disconnected from your truth. It makes healing very difficult because you keep outsourcing the problem to the outside world. And one of the reasons it's hard to look within is shame. You're too loud, you're too sensitive, you're not enough, you're too much. When you feel this way, when shame is present, we cut ourselves off from vital emotional signals: anger, desire, grief, even joy. So the more you exile these feelings, the more they rule you from your shadow. And that's when resentment, envy, or contempt for others begin to show up. Resentment and anger are often signals of your self-betrayal, because we often get angry at others when they express something that we are not allowed to express. You might resent someone for taking space because you were taught to stay small. Or you might judge someone for being selfish because your whole life you were praised for self-sacrifice. Resentment is sort of a map. It points to where you've abandoned yourself. And it's easier to hate someone else than admit that you've silenced yourself for too long. So another signal of disowned potential is envy, one of my favorite emotions that I research a lot. Most people feel shame about envy, unfortunately, but envy is one of the most honest emotions you'll ever have. Actually, envy tells you exactly what you desire, but feel you can't have. And often the person you envy isn't threatening. They're just free in a way you are not yet. So when you stop shaming your envy, you can begin to reclaim your unlived life. Our goal, your goal, is not to be good. It's to be whole. In Jungian psychology, healing means integration. The goal is not perfection, it's wholeness. That means accepting your light and your shadow, your intellect and your wildness, your vulnerability and your power. A truly healthy person is one who can contain contradictions, who can say, okay, I can be angry and still love you. I can feel jealous and not act on it. I can be confident and still compassionate. And this wholeness is not something that you achieve. It's something you remember and reclaim. So what can you do? And why does it work? So, number one, you need to learn to notice your triggers. When you're irrationally irritated by someone, ask, what are they doing that I secretly wish I could do? What emotion in them is so uncomfortable for me to see? So, why it works? Because this builds self awareness, the first step toward healing. By naming what bothers you, you stop being controlled by it unconsciously. Labeling emotional states, there's research around it, calms your brain and activates rational thinking, calms emotional parts of your brain and activates thinking parts. So practice curiosity instead of criticism. Ask yourself, where did I learn to fear this part of myself? Whose voice is that in my head? So why it works? Because curiosity is the antidote to shame. Shame thrives in secrecy. But once we get curious, we bring those parts into the light and they lose their power. Self-compassion creates conditions for reorganization of our beliefs. You can journal your envy. It's exciting. Write about someone you envy and then reflect. What do they have or express that I've been told I can't? What might this envy reveal about my buried desires? So this reclaims envy as a guide, not a poison. Instead of turning against yourself, you turn envy into empowerment. You begin to want more for yourself and not less for others. Integrate. Allow shadow traits to integrate safely. Ask yourself, can I allow myself to be a little more bold, more assertive, more visible, more real? Why it works? Because allowing safe, conscious expression of shadow traits reduces their compulsive grip. This practice rewires your nervous system. What felt unsafe begins to feel more natural. You're expanding your window of tolerance by being fully you. Well, you can always, of course, find a therapist or coach. It's not easy, but it's possible to find someone who you will fit with. Therapeutic relationship allows for co-regulation, process where your nervous system learns safety by being in a relationship with someone who's grounded, accepting, and worked on themselves like for many years. So it creates emotional safety and internal exiles can return. Practice wholeness daily. Every time you feel judgment, pause. Say, okay, so there's a part of me that's afraid of this. What does this part need? Why this works? Well, this daily awareness builds integration. You're no longer living split between acceptable and unacceptable parts of yourself. You are becoming one. So you can't heal what you don't own. The parts of you that you've buried are not bad. They're a bit wounded, maybe forgotten, misunderstood, and they're waiting for your attention. We give energy to what we give our attention, and you don't need to be less of anything. You need to be more of yourself in all your complexity. So the next time someone triggers you, thank them. They just held up a mirror, and in that reflection is a part of you asking to come back home. So if this video was useful for you or you found something interesting, let me know in comments. Comment shadow work. I will ask myself this question. I'm really curious if this will be helpful.